You're fluent, you're skilled, you've done the work. But for some reason, when it's time to speak up, you shrink, you hesitate, or you overthink. But the problem may not be your fluency, it might be your personality. Hello, everyone. I'm Devin Bruce, and welcome to Frustrated to Fluent. I'm the CEO of the English Communication Academy, and we help non-native English speakers in healthcare communicate effectively with their patients, colleagues, and staff. And this video may rub a few people the wrong way, but it's okay because these are things that need to be said. Today, we're exploring how different personality types may be affecting your fluency, and also how this may be holding you back without even realizing it. Now, before we begin talking about the personality types, I first just want to talk about the link between personality and communication. When you think about communication, it's not just about language. It's not just about the words that are coming out of your mouth. Your personality is also a factor, which a lot of people may not realize. Your personality, it can affect your tone, it can affect your pacing, your word choices, and even your confidence. And that's because most people, unfortunately, they don't connect the dots between how they're wired and how they speak. But when you understand what your default tendency is, you can shift from automatic reactions to intentional communication, which is what you want, especially in healthcare. All right, let's break down the four most common personality types that I see in fluent professionals and how they show up when it's time to speak. And I'll also give you some tips on how to break them. The first one that I want to talk about is the overthinker. These are the high achievers, these are the perfectionists, and I see this all day, every day in healthcare. You overthink everything. And because you're so busy in here, you're not focusing on what's most important, which is communicating effectively. The way that this comes across in your speech is that you hesitate to speak because you don't want to speak unless it's absolutely perfect. You also use a lot of filler words like ums and uhs when you speak as well. And sometimes you speak way too fast and then you also over prepare. Being prepared is one thing, but when you're over prepared, it trips you up because, again, you're not focused on connecting, you're focused on being perfect. And this causes so many problems in healthcare because when you are in a position of power, people want to look up to you for safety. And you don't feel safe to people because you're too busy in your brain trying to come across a certain way. So, a good reframe for this is not to speak to impress, but speak to connect because progress is always, always better than perfection. And I'll throw myself under the bus. I used to be a perfectionist and it used to cause me so many problems. But once I got out of the way of trying to be perfect and I was just like, screw it, I'm just going to be me. Oh, it opened up so many doors, both personally and professionally, because I started focusing on what was so important, which was connecting with others, not trying to come across a certain way. So remember, speak to connect, not to impress. Okay, this next personality type is the people pleaser. What people pleasers do is they soften everything. So they say things like, maybe, I think, maybe if it's okay, could I possibly? So when you do that, and you apologize as well. You say, I'm sorry for everything. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Or, oh, can I speak? I'm sorry. You say, I'm sorry when you didn't do anything wrong. You don't come across as confident. Sometimes people do this because they're worried about being too direct or coming across as rude. Other times it could be a confidence issue. It could be some cultural differences as well. But when you do this to yourself, people overlook you because you don't come across as confident. You don't come across as someone who can lead. And that's such a huge disservice to yourself and to the world around you. So, a good way to reframe this is that confidence and clarity can coexist at the same exact time. Being clear isn't rude, it's professional. As a former people pleaser myself, I used to really struggle with this. I would apologize for every little thing until after a while I was like, wait a minute, why am I apologizing? I didn't do anything. So once I got that out of my wiring, I became more direct and kind at the same time. It just takes practice. You can do it. And then when that happens, people start looking up to you more because you have that beautiful balance of being direct and kind. You're not going to come across as rude for being direct because remember, it's professional. Okay, this third one is the silent expert. Now, when I say silent, I'm not talking about introverts or people who identify as introverted because people who identify as introverted, not everyone does this. They don't have this problem. This is more of a confidence issue. So the silent expert, you don't speak at all unless you are 100% sure. You only speak when absolutely necessary. And what happens with this is you don't say anything. So you hold back in meetings. You hold back in presentations, and you also get overlooked despite you may being the smartest and most talented person in the room. And that is a huge disservice, not only to yourself, but to the people around you, your patients, your colleagues, your staff. Everyone deserves to see that brilliance of yours. So to get out of your own way, just remember that leadership, it requires visibility, and being visible is okay because your voice matters. Your voice matters so much. So even if you don't feel 100% ready, just go for it. Take the risk. If you focus on calming down your nervous system, because a lot of the times it's not necessarily a fluency issue, it's a nervous system issue. So once you calm down your nervous system, speak up because what you say matters. And we all want to hear it. I know I do. Okay, and this last one is the fast talker. This one is pretty self-explanatory. This personality type, they speak so fast. And a lot of people may do this unintentionally just to prove that they are fluent and they sound educated. And so they rush through sentences and they rush through everything and they're not focused on connecting. They're focused on just vomiting out what they're trying to say. Also, some people do this because there is this myth, and I know I've said this a few times, there's this myth that goes around that the faster you speak, the more fluent you sound. And that is 1,000% false. That's not true. Because when you speak too fast, you lose clarity. And when you don't have clarity, there's communication breakdowns. And then when you have communication breakdowns, there's no trust. And then when there's no trust, all is lost. It also makes you appear nervous or unsure or anxious, even when you feel confident on the inside. It comes across in a different way that you may not think. And when you come across as anxious or you just are just vomiting out a bunch of words, people don't want to work with you, people don't want to listen to you, and you too get overlooked. So, a good way to reframe this one is to understand that fluency is a rhythm, not speed. So, slow down to make you sound like you're in control. This is something that people struggle with because they're used to speaking fast. And so it's like on autopilot. But if you put in the work and you build that muscle is going to get stronger over time. And just simply slowing down is going to really boost your confidence because you're not going to be unclear anymore and people are going to want to connect with you. Now that we've talked about all of these personality types, let's talk about how to use this awareness to speak better because self-awareness is your communication superpower. Once you know your default pattern, you can adjust your tone, you can adjust your pacing, you can choose stronger phrases, you can interrupt the spiral of overthinking or self doubt. You can interrupt the need to be perfect or to sound perfect in 100% of the situations that you're in. Having self awareness is key. And I want to make sure that everyone understands when I'm talking about this. This is not about changing who you are. It's about making your strengths work for you, not against you. You don't need to erase your personality to speak like a leader. You just need to know how your personality affects the way you show up and learn how to adjust that in healthcare. And also, the more that you understand yourself, the more powerful your communication becomes. All right, so if this video resonated with you, please hit like and subscribe. Also, please share this with other non-native English speakers in healthcare. I am on a mission to close the English gap in healthcare. And if you want some more tips and tricks from me, please check out these other videos. And if you're ready to go even deeper, I do have a free 5-day Frustrated to Fluent challenge. It's for anyone in healthcare. It's designed to make sure that you can increase your fluency level in a very short period of time. And if you're interested in taking that, the link for that is in the description box below. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Take care.